I am a mess. Look at this hair. Gotta get a haircut, but not for a couple days. Oh, and my makeup's still on. Oh. Anyways, y'all, I had this real interesting conversation yesterday because here's the thing. There is a bill coming out into the States that is anti-trans. It literally, according to what I was watching on social media, and I have to do more research myself, it basically wipes out transgendered rights. So this brings up a couple points. One, why? Several points, I guess. Why? Why are we wiping out people's rights? Why are Americans deciding that everybody who is not a fat, white, old, rich guy has to fight to prove that they're a human fucking being? We all know my position with trans people. We saw the Kimberly and Kai video, movie. And, yeah, that was, that's how I feel. I feel like there are a lot of really awesome trans people out there, and as my conversation with one person yesterday went, it shows that there's a few others who aren't, so, but it doesn't have anything to do with being trans. Their gender identity has little or nothing to do with whether or not they're a huge cunt. They're a huge cunt because they're a huge cunt. The President of the United States is a massively huge cunt. He's not trans. Maybe he is. I mean, the size of that penis, you gotta kind of wonder. I mean, maybe hermaphrodite with that size? I don't know. Either way, massive cunt. But the problem is, it's not even Donald Trump. Donald Trump isn't even the problem. The problem is how Americans view each other. How do Americans view Mexicans for the last 20-something years? I remember being in New York and being a cashier at a local Walmart-type store. And, yeah, back in that day, people saw Mexicans coming in and they were like, ugh. And then they had, the best was, though, that it was, the Mexicans always came in with rolls of money, like fat rolls, right? So they worked hard and they saved and they did everything that you're supposed to do in the American dream, and they lived the American dream, but people were still like, ugh. And then you had the Orthodox Jews come in. We're talking about the curls and they looked like a lot of men who come out of mosques, like that long robe type thing. Yeah, them motherfuckers were the ones who stole all the time because they would just stick it up under there and they would have places to put it, and then they would just walk right back out of the store. Which we all thought was really, really strange for religious peoples who have that belief system that, stealing from anybody was okay. Anyways, let's get back on track. So, the reality of America when it comes to civil rights is that it's Frankenstein. The people wanting civil rights, and we're not talking like Frankenstein, the actual Frankenstein, because I think Frankenstein, the actual Frankenstein, the monster ends up being really crazy bad. We're talking about the TV adaptation where we all end up liking the monster in the end. So let's talk about the TV adaptation or the movie adaptation. There's that Gilda Radner's husband, and he did Young Frankenstein, that black and white movie back in the 80s. Anyways, you should watch it if you haven't. So society are the people running around with pitchforks, too stupid to comprehend anything. They're just moving on a mass movement of monster, monster, monster. So technically, they're all being told the same thing. None of them are doing research. None of them are exposed to, say, trans people for this conversation, or back in the day, black people, or gay people, or, marginalized people. Now, don't get me wrong, the civil rights movement of the black people, I do not necessarily put that or equate that at the same level as, because they were treated like they were literally dirt. Whereas gay people were still kind of had human rights, but they weren't really allowed a lot of extra rights that should have been attached to their lifestyle. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about attaching freedom to a legal basis to people who are slightly different than us. And that is the Frankenstein story, is that they go out to attack a monster because they don't know anything. They just think oh my God, tragedy, destruction, scary and new, and they want to destroy it. And time again in history, we have repeatedly done this. The Cain and Abel story, which is actually about consciousness and intuition, not black and white. It is black and white on a very esoteric basis, but not black and white in the sense of flesh and bone. Cain and Abel teaches this story, and it's one of the stories that actually teaches a lot of Christians to hate, because they think that, this story represents what they should be, how they should be addressing and living their life. And it's wrong. It's wrong to say that people, MJ Rodriguez was going off on her Instagram account yesterday, and she made some really, really good points. But the reality is why should people have to beg, fight, and steal to exist as they are? Why is it so hard that we can't just be like, okay, look, obviously something is changing, so let's adapt to the change. That is literally all you have to do to help people grow as a society. But in the US, y'all motherfuckers are crazy. Y'all motherfuckers are like, no, 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 no. You have to lick my boot. Get down there and lick my boot. And until it's shiny, you ain't getting no rights. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally still like that in the U.S. Just by belief system, by how they treat people, by the fact that everybody has to fight for years for freedoms. Gay people in some states still federally, I don't think federally there are civil rights federally. I think gay civil rights are states-based, not federal-based. Canada, well, we've had civil rights for 12, 15 years now, something like that. Anyways, it's been a long time. And even the most corrupt prime minister that we've had so far, in terms of things, as of my knowledge of whatnot, didn't touch the gay rights button. So, also now, because of Kavanaugh, y'all are going to have to be worrying about abortion. So there's that. So I don't think it's not right that people should have to prove themselves just to be able to live. That's wrong. And that's what's happening with the anti-trans bill. And that's what's happening with anti-gay rights. That's what's happening with anything and everything that is not fat, white, rich, Republican Christians. That's what's happening. Now, within that problem, there are a lot of trans people out there, according to social media, so do not, please forgive my umbrella statement, my big brush, where everybody's under the same brush. But there is a big row, fight, pissiness, whatever, against RuPaul, against WoW Network, against, the trans people. Now, where I stand is going to get me in a lot of shit, because I don't believe that trans people have a right to demand that RuPaul let them on their show. Why? Two reasons. One, the most important reason, that Drag Race is literally a man dressing up as a woman to prove that he can pass as a woman. Okay? When you are trans, now, if you're trans and you are still quote-unquote cis, which means you look like a man, that has happened. I guess there was a contestant, Peppermint. I have to look up who Peppermint was, because there's a few different Peppermints in my brain right now. But anyways, Peppermint did not transition while she was on the show. She was transitioning after the show. So she did not already have breasts. She did not already start doing, some of the things, and there was no nip and tuck and switch and cut around. So I don't see why RuPaul should get a bunch of shit for this. Secondly, RuPaul wasn't even rude about it. RuPaul just said, I don't think so, because literally the whole purpose of my show is for cis men to pretend to be as feminine as they can and look as realistic as they can. Well, I mean, some of the drag is, like Acid Betty. Acid Betty is one of my favorites because she's original New York queen. And Acid Betty is really out there, right? But then you look at, say, like Aja, and you see what Aja Queen has done since RuPaul and what some of her looks are. Aja's like absolutely stunning. And Aja's very much close to passing. Aquarius, I think is her name, she's very close to passing. But the point is that these are boys making an illusion. That's what the entire shtick of RuPaul is illusion. Not I'm identifying this and I'm now this, right? So there is a difference. And what I don't understand about all this venom is two things. One, why are trans people not getting together and saying, you know what, let's do our own? You know, it's literally that simple. Here is a living room. I'm sure you could find a bigger one. I'm sure you could find a warehouse space in the U.S. somewhere. And I'm sure that y'all could like just videotape that shit on your phones with some GoPros, a Sony, whatever, and make your own and do your own. Because the problem is that now everybody's demanding that RuPaul, who I watched from 1992, yes, mark it, 1991, 1992, I watched RuPaul claw her way out of the New York bar scene, come up into femdom supremacy, like, you know, supermodel and all this stuff, disappear, and then come back. Now, I understand that, you know, some people be hating because RuPaul has made some comments that don't seem friendly, don't seem natural, whatever. But you know what? RuPaul has opened so many fucking doors for people. RuPaul has helped me to kind of get happy with being gender fluid and getting on to allowing myself more ability to love who I am. And frankly, I appreciate RuPaul for that. And for that, I ain't going to give a shit about the rest of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because who RuPaul is as a person is who RuPaul is as a person. What RuPaul's genius allows me to do and how it affects me is what I take home. The fact that RuPaul has a dream and has made that dream a reality has gone from obscurity to VH1, which means that she is in everybody's house every week when she's doing her thing, who has cable, by the way. That should be admired, and that should be applauded. That shouldn't be attacked. Yeah, okay, guess what, trans people? I'm sorry, but if you're a creative trans person, and you can do your wigs, and you can do your makeup, and you can do, like, there's someone named Little Kid or something, I don't know, she's fucking fantastic. Why don't y'all get her to focus on taking all of her clout, and because Imkid knows Pat McGrath. Pat McGrath knows who Imkid is. There are a lot of famous transgendered people now who could make your reality show a reality instead of hating on RuPaul. Now, let me finish up to the other side of this because it's now at 12 minutes 40 seconds for this video. This is a long-winded motherfucking video. So instead of hating on RuPaul and WoW Network and, you know, hating the people that, yes, I understand that the trans community has had a shit time with gay community. I always say that when I talk to straight friends, that the gay community was always shitty to the trans community because I used to be the gay guy hanging out with the trans folk. Because I was always into the people that were the most fringe, because that's me. I like the most, I don't want to say obscure, but like, trans were the most marginalized people, and that's what I gravitated to because of one thing. The trans lives, the people, their stories, everything they had, their collective of being was fucking amazing because of the struggles that they had, because of what they had to overcome. And there was a woman, Mama Karen, I think her name is, in Calgary. Lord, 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 this woman she was Jesus in heels, okay? This woman loved you. This woman took care of you. This woman motherfucking adopted your shit. And she would always be there for you. How did the gay community work with Mama Karen? Girl, Men were, like, my friends were like, what the fuck are you doing? Them is weird motherfuckers over there. Like, why would you want to take your dick and make it to a vagina? That's the gay belief system around trans people. Not so much anymore with millennials, but the older crowd, the old guard, yes, it is. So, here's my thing. So you got Imkid, when you follow Imkid, this is quote unquote, Imkid is, go look it up on Instagram. Literally the most famous drag queen, or, well, we'll just say it that way. The most famous drag queen that's never been on Drag Race, okay? So, how come y'all ain't reaching out to Imkid and saying, hey girl, why don't we do our own thing? Why don't we make our own dream? Why don't we make our own path? And fuck these bitches. Because that's what y'all need to do. Laverne Cox is out there doing her thing, and I was actually wondering where she's disappeared to. I'm going to be looking that up later today. MJ Rodriguez, okay? The cast of Pose, okay? They ain't being political against the community. They being political against the machine, against the system. And that is where, if you want to be angry at WoW Network, RuPaul, whatever, then you're going to be petty and childish and stupid. And I'm going to call you out on that right here, right now. Because you know what? RuPaul doesn't need to hear it. WoW Network doesn't need to hear it. Ain't nobody in the community need to hear that shit. Because guess what, bitches? They already know this shit. So here's the thing. Go out and get all of your friends to register to vote. Go out, get your family to register to vote. Go out and do some fucking footwork on the pavement and meet strangers. Get to know people that don't know what the trans movement is all about. Don't know that trans people are the highest suicide rates of all people. The highest marginalized people, the most attacked people, the most this, there are so many fucking stats and statistics against what the trans has to deal with to be alive and to live, that y'all motherfuckers shouldn't be pointing fingers inward. Y'all motherfuckers should be pointing fingers outward. You know what I'm saying? You should be smart. But right now, the minute you start attacking WoW Network, the minute you start attacking RuPaul, the minute you start going off and telling me to suck a tranny dick, because one bitch did that last night, y'all just you're giving a reason as to why people don't want you in their communities, okay? You need to basically put on the fucking right face, march in your motherfucking heels outside, and show the world what kind of lady you really are, or what kind of man you really are, okay? You don't be sitting here on little fucking SJWs, oh, fucking WoW Network, fuck you, how dare you, da-da-da. Because I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to end it like this. As I said last night to Wig Takeout, you're ugly when you're doing this. Because you're showing the world that you're petty. That some problem that you have from when you were way younger is festering, and now you're using that, you're putting all that pain on someone else. So here's the thing. The other problem is that you're not helping anyone. You know, you're not being pretty, you're not being smart, you're not being intellectual, because what you're doing is you're attacking people. Now here's what I said to her. The gay community, the LGBTQ, MNLP, QRSTUV, WXYZ, whatever, for better or for worse, this community has survived and has worked together to bring about the trans community's foothold, the drag foothold, the gay rights. Okay? This community is not about to run away and say, oh, well, sorry, trans people, sorry, that's your shit, sorry. No. They have the money, they have the lawyers, they have the clout, they have the power. So instead of saying fuck you to the people that can actually help you, why don't you just be like, you know what, let me just put this shit aside over here, and let me walk away from this shit, and let's walk together arm in arm, and let's go show these motherfuckers where it's at. And then you take it and you go to the streets and you go to the marches on Washington and you go and you tell your senators and your Republicans and you go out there and you meet the Christians that don't want to meet you. And you change their motherfucking minds. That is what you do if you're a trans person. If you're angry and you're a trans person, you go out and you use that fucking anger and you turn that anger into love. And you show love to your enemy. You show love to the people that don't want to know you. Because, my brothers and sisters, that is how you make and affect change. Sitting there on social media and being like, y'all motherfuckers is hypocrites. Y'all motherfuckers ain't doing nothing. Y'all motherfuckers, that ain't doing shit, bitches. No, that making you look ugly. And I understand there's valid reasons to be upset, but now is not the time to point fingers inward. The problem is outside of your communities. And as long as you're looking inside your community, they're winning. So you got to get your head correct, and you got to start fighting the people who actually matter to fight, not the people who will stand beside you and fight with you.